What's up, traders? Welcome to another live session. Today is September 17th, 2019, and let's get to it. Our chat is working, so if you guys want to use the chat, make sure you just sign up using chat box. It's pretty simple, and you should be good to go. So let's get into it. Euro, it's kind of retracing on us since we've last kind of stalled right around take profit 2. Take profit 2 was officially hit, and it's around 80 pips, and then we were reversing. We should have probably closed around here, but it's fine. We're probably gonna get popped out at entry. I do see EURUSD going to test these highs right here, 110.700. And obviously, if you look to the left, it's a nice resistance on the hourly time frame. And we could have a deeper retrace to the top of our descending channel. So if we go to the daily, this channel has provided, pretty solid setups in the past for Euro. We could just make a sharp retrace to the top of this trend line. Let me remove this. So pretty deep retrace. I actually thought we were going to go lower for the Euro, all the way down to 110 area, 1.10 thousand. I don't know what the the retrace is. There obviously no news. Maybe Trump was tweeting something, but yeah, it's pretty quiet day in terms of fundamentals today. So what we're gonna do, since on the hourly, I was looking at possibly going long from somewhere here if we got some sort of retest. But it looks like we're just going to shoot right up to 110.700. What we could look for is, activity at the trend line that we just talked about. Maybe a rejection, or maybe, at this level when we get here, maybe look for a break retest like we've had in the past. A break, retest, rejection, and go long. It's just the thing about going long from here is that our trend line is about 15 odd pips away, so it's not really worth going along. So the only viable setup, and on the daily it's still there, is the short. As you can see, this could just be a nice pop-up before we go down. We've had that before here where we thought we were going to go higher, but obviously we came back down. So that just might be the case for Euro. Today is quiet, but I believe tomorrow we have pound GDP, CPI, and then CAD, and then a lot of USD. So tomorrow, so FOMC, federal funds rate, major day, even for the New Zealand dollar and the Aussie. So what could happen is, until then, maybe because of insider speculation, the dollar might just weaken for the day, and pairs will gain. We're already seeing gold make an attempt to go higher, but for Euro, we're about 20 pips away from an ideal entry short, so we're gonna wait for that. Nothing too enticing. USD yen. Yesterday we spoke about the possible shorts at this level, at the top of the support range, and what we needed was a close below 108.140, right? So what we did was popped up. We made some deep, pushes into our resistance region. If we look to the left, we've had that before. Now what we want to configure our shorts is that close below 108.144. We do have this previous gap which we did fill, and if you look at the setup, obviously your stops will be a bit, bit more bigger than that. But for entries, somewhere down here on a closure, having stops above these recent highs is good enough for me for a 2.5 risk reward trade setup, and it's a a nice 60 pips for an intraday trade. Hopefully it can play out before the news tomorrow. We don't want to be in the news. We saw what happened to the euro during the ECB, and yesterday I actually traded the Aussie interest rate release. I think they're going to be cutting rates. I didn't even look at the report. I actually just traded the volatility, and I made a 3-part video on my phone on how I did that, so I'll be releasing that on my Telegram channel right after this live session. There's no audio, but basically I'll be providing a short description for each video. And so the first video was getting my key levels down. The second video was making adjustments closer to the release, and the third video was the profits. There's a YouTube video on our YouTube channel. Just Google Forex. Just YouTube Forex Lens how to trade news, and you'll see my video on how to do that more in depth. But once you get the hang of it, it's pretty much free pips. So USD yen, we're waiting for that closure. As you can see, we had a bunch of wicks below 108, 140, but not a closure, and that's what we want. We're printing a bunch of hammers. Looks like we might stall here and go lower. Just gonna check the chat. What's up, Jared? Good morning. Good morning, Igor. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Russell. So USD CAD, I was hoping we could have a short earlier in the day yesterday after a session, after we pierced this daily region. Let me actually pan out so we can see we've popped up in this range. We previously had this range, and we had, I think, like 3 weeks of USD CAD stills from here, here, and here. Now we kind of popped up. Obviously, ignore this candle. This was after the Saudi Arabia oil plant was attacked, so we had CAD just weakened tremendously. Since then, we've kind of popped up, and I would be enticed to go long right now because we had a retrace. So if we look on the 4-hourly, you can see we've kind of retraced. Obviously, this candle is very bearish. If we had, maybe a normal retrace, like for example, this was a bullish candle, and then we had a bearish candle of this size back to this region, then we can pop off, right? But this right now is printing a shooting star, also a teardrop candle, which I love to use. I like to call it that. But if this was a regular bullish candle that closed up above here, like one of these, and then we had this bearish candle come after as a retest, like something like this, then I'd be looking for buys. Thankfully, pound USD is showing a potential buy, so that's probably a setup I'm going to get us to enter today. But USD CAD, I was looking for shorts from somewhere here. As you can look to the left, a nice previous support for the USD CAD for our trading range. Previous resistance, previous resistance, previous support, resistance. And so, we were showing initial signs of rejecting, but we didn't get the break of the trend line as second confluence to go short. And obviously, we didn't take that trade. So, pound USD is looking like it could be a long. So, our ideal scenario last week was a push above 123.730, consolidating, making support and resistance, and then we trade the breakout. What had happened was pound said screw our plan and just pushed up, pushed all the way above 124.200, and we finally got that retest. So we got that push, the retest, and this candle is our rejection confirmation candle, and we can have a nice long. Obviously, the best possible entry, just to make sure we don't get faked out, is getting a closure above these highs, 12500. So, 125,000. A nice cycle level. If we can get a close above, and I'm talking a bullish closure like this, for example. When I mean bullish closure, I usually get these questions. If we look at this key level, let's say 124,606 is our key level, and I say during a live session I want a bullish closure. Though if this candle closes the way it is right now, it's pretty bullish. Okay. If it closed something like this one right here with a long wick to the top, it's not bullish in my opinion. In any type of hammer, I'd be hesitant. So obviously, like a bullish hammer is fine, but a shooting star, I'd be reluctant to trade. So for example, let me try an example. So, like any of these candles. So this candle right here with a long wick to the top side, or this candle with a long wick to the top side. Obviously it's probability, so just because you get a long wick to the top side doesn't mean it's going to go down. But usually you want very little wicks to the top, and if anything a long wick to the bottom. That's a sign as a bullish momentum shift. So this is what we can have later in the day. The pound does move pretty quick, so within the end of the session we could even have it. Let's say our closures above somewhere here. We can have our stops below this recent key level. and our take profit to 126,500 as our first take profit. Overall target 127,000. 127,000. If we're on the daily time frame, it'll make a bit more sense. So on the daily time frame, the break and retest is a lot more clear. Obviously, this is a significant bull run we've had since we've created these historic lows. And if we look, we haven't had that type of bull run since back in February. So we're definitely having a shift in momentum, and you can see we're not too far away on the chart from our target 127,000, and that's where I see us going for the pound, and hopefully that'll be the setup of the day. We don't have to enter anything else, because if it does play out, that's around 1,800 pips. So the daily makes kind of clear of the break and retest, the break, retest, rejection, and it'd be good. So when I'm looking to the left, I'm looking at my take profit levels. So if you're determining how RP chooses take profit levels, I just look to the left and see where price stagnated or a previous move was cut short. So obviously one quick one is right around here. Obviously that's way ahead of our scope, our take profits here, so that's fine. Moving down to somewhere around these highs. So our first take profit would probably be around 125,560. So if we enter at 125,130, our take profit would be right around 43 pips from our entry point. And then our next take profit would be right around here. So, a lot of support was created here, a lot of support. This level is good and it coincides with our trend line. So, pretty decent setup on the daily time frame. And it is trading with the trend. The trend is, has shifted. We are creating higher highs and higher lows. So this is what we're going to look out for. If you guys want, you can use the trading view on our portal to map out the levels. Alternatively, you can just play this back. I'll actually stop moving my mouse so you can record these levels down. But this is what we're going to be looking at. And we're not looking to rush anything. For example, gold. Sunday called the short. And then I got us out because Trump was tweeting about the attack. I didn't want us to get, blown out of the waters. It ended up dropping a bit, then came back. The short was there again, but then it was just another fake out. So I want to take, the best entries possible. These last few weeks, sitting on our hands has really paid dividends. So I want to continue that. So get these levels down, and if you want, put alert on TradingView. So just right click. Add alert, and it'll send it to your email, your SMS, wherever. Just put crossing up, and you should be good. Don't use buy stops because you can easily get wicked up here and then just snap back down. The best case is always watching price action manually. So as I go through this, just let me know any pair recommendations, because I know you guys like to trade other pairs of majors. Hey Anna. Damn, Jared's on a roll. Oh, nice. Pound buys. You're always one step ahead of me. That's great. So, yeah, let's look at gold since we've talked about it. And it's been playing some games, and, I'm happy I got us out at 5 pips profit yesterday, because since then, we've moved up around 40 or so pips, and our stop loss would have been hit. So, once you start trading and getting to know how certain pairs move, you know when to get out. And thankfully, we got out gold early. So, yeah, this was the initial short I called. This move right here. So, from 1,503 to wherever it went, 1,497. So, around 60 pips we could have made. But I called the short off because, Trump was tweeting. And then what happened was we got another possible entry point, which was somewhere down here. And obviously our take profit was 1,490. And I saw the same setup, but then again we started stalling. So if we look at the smaller time frame, let me just see where was my entry. Right. So this was the entry on Sunday. just to not cause any confusion. This was the entry on Sunday, and I believe this was the second entry yesterday. Something like this. I know we didn't get in too much profit. Something like this. But what ended up happening is we got out at 5 pips profit, and since then, the gold has retraced quite a bit, and our stop was pretty tight. I believe it was at 1506. I'll have to double check. Actually, let me just use the portal. So this is another great thing about the portal, is you can just go here and check my latest signals instead of switching to your trading view. So let's check. Okay, so it was 15 flat, so 1500. Okay, yeah, so the entry was at 1500. So let's move the entry point. Okay, so we wouldn't have made that many pips on the setup yesterday. I think it went around 30 pips before snapping back. I think gold is probably just going to consolidate until tomorrow's release. If you look at the overall price structure in the 4-hour, you see it's pretty messy. For example, here we thought we were going to go all the way down here, but now we're popping back. I don't think we're going to reject from here then go lower. It's pretty messy, and part of the blame is the Saudi attack, because we're getting updates throughout the day. For example, Trump's blaming the Iranians and etc., etc. But I don't really see anything too enticing for gold. I mean, if you look at the overall price structure, I'd say it's bullish just because the previous move to the top side was similar to this. If you look at the previous price action here, we've stayed afloat above 1490. And when we've done that, we've had this kind of weird wave-like price action where we're making a mixture of higher highs and higher lows, and then lower highs and lower lows. We're doing that same sort of thing here. So more than anything, I do think gold will be a long. It's just I don't want to enter a trade based on intuition. I want to enter on technicals. So if you're looking for gold and you have two setups available, you see a short, you see a long, I rather look at the long case scenario. Maybe up to here, to 1519. Especially since the dollar is showing some weakness. I'll probably check on daily effects later to see why. But I think the gold is ready to pop off more than it is to fall. It's showing some reluctancy to do that. So you guys can now take the opportunity to send in any pair recommendations you guys want me to look at. If anything, I'm just gonna look at some of my favorite pairs or miners to trade. So we not cutting the news. So this was our CAD CHF short from last week. Then we got around to TP3 or TP2. Since then we've retraced to our first take profit level, and this might be a nice place to enter again. Nice retrace. Let's see if our fibs agree with that. So bring out the fib retracement tool. So a nice retrace to the 50 fib level, and the 50 fib level retrace is pretty common. That's usually the most it will retrace to confirm that the trend is still continuing. And we can even draw a trend line on the 1 hourly to get a better entry short. So actually now is not a bad time to short. It actually probably will go down as we speak, as I draw this trend line. But yeah, this is not a bad time to continue shorting CAD CHF. Obviously, our final take profit's not here. It's probably going to be more than that. Actually, I can even switch it to some recent support down here, and this would be a nice setup for the intraday. So something like this. I'm happy to keep my stops a bit above here. We have no closures. Just a bunch of wicks, but no candle closure. That's fine. Take profit here. Obviously, this is just one of them. We can continue the short down. So if you look on the daily, we have some ways to go. From here, we were expecting a move down to somewhere here, right around to this previous trading range to 0.73700. So let's zoom in. The daily is a bit ugly. It just kind of invalidated our setup. This candle right here is a spinning top that could end up as a indecision candle. We have an equal wick to the top and bottom, but the 1 hour looks pretty nice to enter short. Obviously, the higher time frames are more, provide more confluence. So I'll call the signal. This one I'll probably just watch and let you guys know. We do have hammers being printed on this trend line, so it might just be a continuation. Another pair that I did want to look at was USDJPY. We'll look at EURUSD and then USDJPY. Okay, so damn it. EURUSD was also presenting a long yesterday off 145.800. Kind of missed entry. I think I was asleep during this time. But if we zoom out, we can see that we have a possible short. So I was looking last night that if I do miss this long entry, we do have a short that can come into play. So if we look, we have a 1 wick touch, 2, 3, and we're close to making our 4th one. So we do have a possibility to short because we did miss the long. And so this is what we can look at for EURUSD. I'm just going to wait for some signs of rejection at this trend line to short to the bottom of that trend line. Let me go to the daily to see. Actually, let's go to the weekly. And during the live session, because the chat's working now, you guys could always tell me to slow down. Monthly. Some of these pairs we haven't looked at in a while. So on the monthly, the EURUSD, this is way back. This is dating back to, I think, our June sessions. We drew this a nice weekly ascending trend line with their 1st, 2nd, and our 3rd touch. And so if you caught the swing from this 3rd touch, great job, because you could have got over 200 pips. We missed the initial long entry, which is fine because we can get on the short. So we see the price structure is obviously bearish. We had this initial pop up because of the the crude oil attack. So that's not I won't consider that valid price action. Since then we had a snap back down. So all this could be is a nice retest of this trend line before we go lower to the bottom of this one. So that's a possible setup I see on EURUSD. I'm going to look at EURUSDJPY before I send this live session off. Make sure if you have any pair recommendations, let me know. Gold looks like a head and shoulders to come down on. Okay, cool. Let me look at that, Daniel. Oh, Bitcoin. I actually love Bitcoin because it's very easy to technically analyze. And it's, if you look at our trading view on Forex Lens, a lot of our Bitcoin calls usually turn out winners. It's pretty easy, so I'll look at that. Let me look at the gold head and shoulders you're talking about. I think you're talking about an inverse head and shoulders. Inverse head and shoulders. Is that what you're talking about, Daniel? Gold looks like head and shoulders about to come down, so it has to be the other way. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, yeah. So that's what I mean. 1490 is the key level here, right? Because it's the neckline. That's the level we need to break. For those that are wondering or going to be watching later, this is a head and shoulders pattern. It's obviously not the cleanest head and shoulders, but it's still there. Let me just try to draw this out for you. How I'm going to draw this. Okay, so this is our left shoulder. I don't want to mess with this. Fuck it. I will. This is our head, and this right here is our right shoulder. And where the two shoulders connect to the head, so this shoulder and this shoulder, is the neckline. So you can say the neckline is right here, I guess. Or actually, no. The thing about these kind of head and shoulders, it's kind of slanted, you see, because it attaches to the head here and here, so you have to kind of draw a diagonal neckline, and I think that is one of the rules against head and shoulders, is it can't be diagonal. I mean, if you look at this is a neckline. It's a pretty slanted neckline, but that's why, you know, the 1490 handle is acting as a neckline per se, because you know, we did have these previous touches here, so that's enough confluence that you know, it is a head and shoulders pattern to someone, you know, but yeah, this is the overall head and shoulders that I think Dan was talking about. You know, if we get the break of 1490, I believe that's good enough to go long. I mean short. So a break below is probably enough, but then again, you're partially right, Daniel, that if we do get an actual break of the neckline, we can go short, because we did have previous closures below 1490 and nothing really happened. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. You know, usually if it's a head and shoulders, I need a clear cut head and shoulders, or I usually don't spot it, but this is what we could look out for. Maybe if tomorrow, you know, Powell can entice some confidence in the U.S. economy, we could have gold just shoot down, break this neckline, and we can go short. So nice spot there. Yeah, they do have a head and shoulders trading pattern. I just don't usually use it, or the Elliott wave patterns, but yeah. Bitcoin, yeah, nice setup by the way, Daniel. Thanks for pointing that out. Bitcoin, for those that do trade crypto, this is not our chart. It's one thing I hate about. It's one thing I hate about TradingView, which I don't really hate. There's just too many providers, so finding your charts can be a hassle. Okay, yeah, this is the chart. So, just looking like a short. On our TradingView, I believe we had I believe I called a Bitcoin short from somewhere here, and damn, I wish I traded Bitcoin, but I just do it because a lot of people like the analysis. Let me just remove some of the recent stuff. And so this trend line that I drew probably back in May is coming to play once again for the Bitcoin. You know, first touch, second touch, or third touch. And since then, we've kind of just consolidated a lot of wicks. So Bitcoin could be on the verge of a breakout. So this could be, depending on how the daily closes. Kind of getting squeezed into a pennant pattern. If, you know, Bitcoin can come back to the bottom of this trend line, we could have a bullish pennant, or on the flip side, we could have a bearish pennant and just have a fall out. Let's look at the 4-hourly and remove some of these horizontal lines. So let's pan out. We can remove this. Okay. So I see 3 areas of concern. So right here, 110.442 is a recent resistance on Bitcoin. Okay, we've seen it multiple instances. It's a nice resistance, and support is 10,221. Okay, so right around 200 pip trading range. Support, resistance. So there's a support here, there's a support here, support here. Okay, that's cool. We have a lot of wicks in these two levels. What happened as of recently is we had a break of that support, a retest, a rejection, and I think we're retesting again. And this retest is probably fueled by the dollar weakness. And then our last key level is this one right here, 9790. So if we're going short, 9790 is the key target. Let me fix this trend line, connect the wicks. So what we had is a third wick touch. You know, we had our first couple here, we had our second instance here, and we had our third instance here. So we could see Bitcoin potentially pop off, as it is kind of getting squeezed into a bullish pennant pattern. And And usually you have something like this happen. So price comes in and gets squeezed, until at a certain point it just pops off. Okay. That you can see it. Usually gold does this. Usually volatile pairs, and crypto is pretty volatile. So this is what we could potentially have. The best possible case to long is waiting for a break above 110.440. If you look to the left, we do have, whenever we got that break, we were more than likely to go to 110.961 right here and right here. So that's what we can look for. So look for this entry, because right now we're in a confusing and indecision spot where we're between a trading range between 10.400 around there to 10.200. And in that trading range, we're pretty much around halfway there. So we look like we're gonna go there, but it's like we're popping back. So we want the best possible entry, because if you look at the logistics of this, the short setup, for example, if we go short, we have to have our stops, above this level, and we go short. This is fine, but what could happen is we could easily come back up to 10.400, then go short, and this is like a 1.51 risk to reward. I don't really like that for Bitcoin. Obviously, I want the best possible entry. On the flip side, going long can be dangerous as well. If you go long from here, we have to have our stops below this recent low, and our long could go all the way up to here. But at the same time, Bitcoin can go all the way down here, use the support, and then go long. 1.66 is not really ideal for Bitcoin, in my opinion. What I want is something very tight and concise. So the best possible case is obviously the buy option in terms of the bullish panic pattern. And if you look at the logistics of this trade, let's say we get a break somewhere here. Our stops can be very, very tight, especially since this trend line on the daily comes into confluence. So our stops could be right below that trend line. So in case we do close below that trend line, that tells me the shorts are off. So if, for example, if we do enter the trade here and we do get into some drawdown, we come down to this trend line, we can bounce back up. That's fine for me. And obviously our target would be here. So this is a 3.43 risk reward setup. I'd rather take that than, gambling on a short or a long here. That's what I see for Bitcoin. Price has, slowed down. If you look on the daily, all these arrows are disgusting. But remove these. So I think this will be the last pair I cover. If you guys have one more pair in mind, let me know. We like to keep these sessions short and straight to the point. But if you look at the previous movements of Bitcoin, have been pretty aggressive. But I think the trade war and just the overall slowdown in the economy has just kind of caused Bitcoin to come to a halt. But all it takes is a trade deal with China and US to go one way, and we can have a pop up either way. So if you guys trade Bitcoin, I'd look for the long setup, maybe this one that I just pointed out. Shorts would be anything below 9774. So below this recent support, I'd be looking to shorts to 907 or just 9,000 for Bitcoin. I'm just going to take a peek at the chat. Hopefully that makes sense. This session will be on the portal within an hour or two to watch at your own leisure. So if you missed the point or you just need to watch it again, you can always do that. And just go to live session, past live, and you'll see all the live sessions. So I think this is a nice point to end off the session. I'm RP Forex. I think it was a great session. Hopefully we get into some trades today, some more profits, and be out of them by tomorrow's release. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. I will be on the lookout for the Aussie news release trade I did yesterday. How did I trade the news? It'll be on my Telegram channel, t.me/rpforex, and you guys will kind of see how I trade news. So if you want to, tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, you can try to trade you can try to trade the CAD news, or if you want to trade the US dollar, the crude oil inventories, or the FOMC economic projections, you can try trading that. Maybe you might want to do it on the demo if it's your first time. but you will get the hang of it, and it's really free pips that the market gives. So yeah, I think it's time to end the session off. I will see you guys again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Be safe during the news release, and happy trading. And I'm Mark Forex. I'm logging off.